If you want to build a personal brand that compounds every single week, it all starts with how intentional you are with the pre-production process. There's no point having great content ideas if you don't have a system that actually enables you to execute that every single week. Over the last 8 years, I've been a creative director in multiple industries, and over that time, I've been able to pinpoint the actual structure that enables you to build a brand with influence. Currently, I'm the creative director for Sue, who's built a $400K per month consulting business entirely off the back of a strong personal brand. In this video, I break down the exact weekly content system that we use, how we structure filming days, how we mix formats so the brand never feels one-dimensional, and how we engineer pattern interrupts so engagement never dies. This is a group call recording that I host inside Consulting Mastery every single week. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Alright guys, on today's call, what I wanted to go over is how we structure our content in terms of producing it. And the reason this is important is because we structured it in a way that allows us to hit every format that we need to hit so we don't experience content fatigue. So it's actually being extremely intentional with the way we structure the inputs when it comes to filming, which actually leads to us having that flexibility, like when we're actually posting the content. And this is something that you'll see a lot. You might have waves of engagement skyrocket, and then you plateau, and then you have skyrocket, and then you plateau. So having a structure like this enables you to, essentially puts you in the best possible scenario to not have that happen. What do I mean by structure? It's having a weekly structure to your A-roll formats. This ensures you're producing enough high quality content for your team to execute without experiencing content fatigue. So if you guys go back to the first call that I hosted, it's something that I reiterate all the time, but it's your A-roll formats. So this is not the only A-roll formats. This is what we use, and it's documentation, vlog style, the group calls, the scripted talking heads, voiceovers, and flow state, where I'm actually filming and capturing Sue as well. But how we actually do this, if you are to zoom out and look at it on a weekly basis, it's something like this, okay? So 4 to 7 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays is me and Sue's dedicated filming time. So we have 2 slots, regardless of what happens, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're filming. So we have about 6 hours dedicated specifically to content that is going to be scripted and filmed with intention. So this is the content that, whether it's YouTube videos, whether it's reels, that we've planned with extreme intention. And you can see Wednesday is when he obviously takes the group calls with you guys, the community calls. Most of his one-on-ones, they're also stacked into Wednesdays. So Wednesday is our ability to film, have a camera on the side, and gives us all of the clippable group calls. Mondays and Fridays, we document. So this is either Sue just taking the camera around, whether he's going to uni, whatever he's doing on those days, we're capturing those moments. If I'm free or if I'm available, I'll also join him and we'll film these moments from a raw, authentic style. And then Saturday is a creative opportunity. Now, this can really be anything you want it to be. Okay, so when you book studios, when you book hotels, you can do those on your Tuesdays and Thursdays. Like we book studios on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. I don't mean you only book studios on Saturdays, but Saturday is often a day where we can get creative, We can go out, we can go to a park, we can go on a hike, we can do something that's out of the norm based on the format that we're trying to execute. So for example, the lie detector. So the lie detector was something unique. It had a lot more production involved. We had to hire a lie detector guy and he had to come down and there was just a lot more to do. So for content like that, most of the time we'll do it on the weekends. But you can see how by having a schedule like this, every single week, we're producing so many different formats that enable us to make the brand feel not just one-dimensional. And that's the whole point of having different formats and having a structure to actually follow these formats. So we'll start with the scripted content sessions. So these are for us, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So what are we actually doing on Tuesdays and Thursdays? We're filming long form YouTube videos. So we film these first. That's another key point. The reason being, most of these videos are being filmed for minimum 15 minutes. So he has the chance to get into a flow state. Whereas when you start off with a 60-second reel, it's hard to get into a flow. But most of the time when you're recording a YouTube video, there's a higher chance of you getting into a flow. So film your YouTube content first and let yourself get into a flow state. So that's what we do. And then off the back of this, he's warmed up, he's in the flow, we can go straight into short form and pump out all the short form reels that we need. So we have intentional short form reels, so these are often scripted as well. And these are filmed towards the end of the long form recording. And then we also do quick fire reels with it, which aren't scripted. So most of the time, either Sue will just go off the cuff because he has an idea and he wants to talk about it, or I'll ask him questions and he'll respond. So it'll be a quick fire Q&A. I ask Sue questions and objections that we hear from the sales team and the feedback that we get from you guys, the fulfillment team, and he answers them off the cuff. So now that one session produces so much different types of content for us in a 3-hour time block. Now, what do we do with this? So if you look here, we have a YouTube video. That YouTube video was the first thing that we filmed, and that in itself is repurposed into at least 6 to 8 reels that we clip up. So that's being clipped up into all different short form reels. So now we've filmed one YouTube video in 30 minutes, and we have about 7 to 8 reels that are clipped that we can post on socials. And then we have on the same session, we're filming intentional short form. The only change we make here is he might get changed because you don't want the content to feel the same. So he might quickly go and get changed, and we might change the angle, we might change the lighting, but it's intentional short form content, which we've prepared beforehand before we actually started the shoot. But now you can see in that one session how many different types of content or different volume of content that we've produced in that one session. So this is your Tuesdays and Thursdays most of the time for us. And then you have your Wednesdays, which is your Zoom session. So what do we actually extract from these days? Group calls, one-on-one calls, so that with community calls, team calls, also calls with us, guest speaker, if he goes into another community and does speaks as a guest, we also get this content. One-on-one calls with you guys or value calls with potential clients, we also record. Sue doesn't take sales calls often, but we film the ones that he does because often they're a high caliber client. So again, that's 3 different formats that you guys see on the socials. We film every call and clip them into short form content, and you can create multiple formats from the voiceovers that you extract. So it doesn't necessarily have to be you don't have to show yourself on a group call. You could just use the voice and stack it with B-roll. So that's 2 formats that you're producing from just a call that you were going to take anyways. So now this is your Wednesdays. Well, for us, Wednesdays. And then we have documenting. So this is where I refer to Monday, Friday, or any time outside of those planned sessions. Now this is where we have our vlogs, which is your week in the life, traveling, lifestyle, the things that you capture that you do outside of your business. Then you have raw talks, when you just want to sit down and speak to the camera in an authentic manner, share your values, morals, your beliefs, life updates, moving into a new apartment. Things like this is raw talks, okay? Obviously, you can't plan for these. It happens when they happen. And you just got to be aware to document these moments. Then you have key events and moments, which are announcements, company growth, partnerships, to name a few. And you see that over here. So let me just go back. Key moments was documenting key moments was hitting 100K in one day. So of course that was documented by him. I wasn't even there when he captured that. He just had the camera and made sure he was documenting what was happening throughout the day. Then you have raw talks, where you're just picking up the camera, documenting how he feels, which we then turn into content. And then you have your day-to-day vlogs, which you're showcasing your whole day, your lifestyle, and the things that you're actually doing, whether that's buying something cool, something that people would find entertaining. And the way I want you guys to think about this is, again, Sue always talks about the 5 layers of branding, right? You're getting people to actually like you, getting people to admire you and relate to you before you build credibility and trust. Now, this is the same concept that you want to think about. Look at your weekly content and ask yourself, which formats or what have I filmed this week that is going to make people like me? What have you filmed this week that's going to make people admire you, like you, and relate to you? And what have you filmed this week that's going to make people find you credible and more trustworthy? Now, if you look at it for us, on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, we're building credibility. We're building trust. On Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays, we're creating we're making people admire us and like us more. So on a weekly basis, our content is never just one-dimensional, or it's never like just serving one purpose. We're hitting all the like everything that's involved in building a one-of-one personal brand by the way or the intention that we have behind the way that it's filmed. Creative. Now, this is literally up to you guys. How creative can you be? This is what I like to call out of the box. Content with high production is how we do it. It doesn't have to be, but with ideas that haven't been seen before in the industry. And announcements, big announcements that spark attention with the audience. Okay, so we obviously did that with the lie detector, which did really well for us. I'm shutting down my company. We just went to a park. We thought it'd be cool, a park in London, and we filmed it, right? So ask yourself on a weekly basis, what can you do that's just out of the norm? Like, what are you like not seeing on socials? This is going to involve heavily into your ideation and research, of course, identifying industry trends, identifying what people are doing in different niches, verticals, and implementing that to your own brand. But it's also, sometimes you just got to like literally zoom out and just look at your page and be like, what can I do that will just spark more curiosity? What's something that people do not see in my field? So if you're a fitness coach, if you're a personal branding coach, like what's something that you could just post that would be so out of the norm or like not normal that people would want to pick up on and people would be like, yo, that's kind of cool. And that's the same kind of impact we had when we posted the lie detector, because it was like, it had been done before, but not in the coaching space. So it's like, people are like, that's such a sick idea. And Jeremy Haynes just copied it. Like, he literally ripped the whole video and posted it, right? And that's the kind of impact you can have by creating these formats for yourself. Mava. Is it Mava or Maeve?
It's Mava.
Mava.
Yeah, sorry, a little bit off topic, but I noticed with basically every single video that you and Zoe post on his page, it's all black borders, right? So how come you've decided to double down on black borders, and why not have a brand that's built on like vertical style, like 9 to 16 style?
100%. So we actually are extremely intentional with the black borders. Like, if you actually scroll through the reels, you'll see that we do heavily do black borders, but recently you'll see there'll be a mix of aspect ratios. Like, we'll do completely completely horizontal. Now, completely horizontal, it comes up as black borders as well when you view it in full screen, but we actually don't look at that as a black border reel. So when we actually produce a black border video, it's done with black borders beforehand, right? So it's literally done like, it's the difference between, if I was to post this video on Reels, it would have black borders in full screen. And then this video is created with black borders intentionally, okay? So we look at it in like we look at it as two different formats. And then we also, like the one I'm sure you guys saw yesterday, we posted, like the being Asian is a cheat code. We did that in vertical. Now I'm going to get into content fatigue and why we do this. Sue's brand, if you look back a year ago, was predominantly built with black borders. Like, all of his best performing content was built in that format. He was kind of the one that actually brought that format into the info space from the fashion industry. So we actually look at that format of black borders as like a winning format for us. So a lot of the content we post does have black borders, but we're constantly making sure there's a split. Like, we're not overdoing it. So if you actually look through the feed, you'll notice that there is vertical, there is horizontal, there is square, where we're like mixing up the aspect ratios to make everything not black borders. But for us, it is one of those winning formats. It always does well for us. So that's why we double down on that.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Because I noticed for me, black borders and like the little text hook on top. So literally black borders and a text hook is what has worked best for me and my brand. So like I was just wondering, because I noticed you doing that with Sue's brand as well. So I was just wondering like how you balance that out.
Yeah. So if that format is working well for you, definitely keep running with it, double down on it. But also, I would say space your content out. So not every single video is black borders. It's still a winning format for you, but you
Mhm.
don't want that to cause content fatigue, which I'm going to speak about.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All good. So that's what a week of filming actually looks like for us. Let me go back. So we have such a good mix of content formats and environments every single week that the audience never feels like they're watching the same thing, and that's how you combat content fatigue. So a big reason for us to do this and to mix up the formats and build a one-of-one personal brand is to make it feel more holistic and make it feel more less one-dimensional. But another intention behind it is to make sure we're not experiencing the fatigue. And this is how you maintain momentum. This is how we're able to constantly maintain momentum with the brand, because people are always watching our next steps and looking to us for inspiration, and we never lose engagement. So if you look at I'm sure you've seen like a lot of the engagement that we do get. We average like 25 to 30K views on a reel, right? And that never really dips. And that's because we're constantly aware of how we're producing this content. Yes, the brand helps, the brand that he's built over the 4 or 5 years, and the actual, I guess, like the impact that he's had in the info industry helps, of course, but we also notice dips when we do have content fatigue. We notice we have dips when we post a reel that's not good enough. So we're extremely intentional about how we do this. So what is content fatigue? It's essentially your audience, right? It's your audience is bored before you realize it, in a nutshell. So how do you spot it? Content fatigue happens when your audience has seen the same thing from you too many times in a row. Same format, same location, same energy, same topic type. They don't unfollow, but they just scroll past. So a few signs of this is your views start dropping on consecutive posts. Your feed looks the same when you scroll it yourself. You've posted the same format 3 times in a row or more, and the engagement is consistent, but your reach is shrinking. So those are some things to be aware of in your content to see if that's happening to you or you're experiencing content fatigue, because we do as well. So pattern interrupt is your strategy. So this is where you need to mix up your content format so your audience has a reason to stop the scroll. So Maeva, going back on your point, this was a sign of content fatigue for us. Like we were ripping black borders so consistently and the views just kept declining, and it went to 15, it was going below 15, and then we got Sue to just do an iPhone raw talk. Like, just post it, right? Like, no editing, nothing. Just pick up your phone, speak, and post. It did 50,000 views. And it wasn't necessarily because it was a better piece of content, but it was because the audience is like, okay, this guy's posting the black border format so consistently. But when they see an iPhone raw talk out of nowhere, it's like, okay, this must be something important because it's like different to normal. Okay, and that's how I want you guys to create pattern interrupts for yourself, even if it's a winning format for you. So even if you have a winning format, ask yourself when you look back at the feed, does this actually just look the same? Even though I'm talking about different things and posting different videos, it's like, overall it looks kind of similar, right? And sometimes you just got to make a judgment for yourself. And throw in an iPhone raw talk, throw in vertical, square, landscape, different environments, different tonality. Like, what can you do to make it feel different? And then you can go back to your winning formats, and then you can, every 2 or 3 posts, have that mix. And this type of pattern interrupt is how we're able to constantly come back from dips that we have. So if you look further enough, you'll notice this. So again, if you look at this stretch that we had an announcement video, an announcement raw talk, which ripped. Then we went straight into using AI to do like a crazy intro, like a hook for us, performed well. Then we went to the park and did a landscape raw talk, which was different to the last 2 vertical videos. And then we did a landscape live demo with no B-roll and just pure animations and Sue walking around in a hotel. Now, this is an example where all of those videos could have been the same format. Technically, all of these videos could have had black borders, All of these videos could have been vertical, or all of them could have been horizontal. But by us delivering the same message in the same video with different ways of making it look and feel different, every single time we posted, the audience felt like it was a pattern interrupt. And that's reflected in the views. So it's something to keep a mental note of. Like, look at your last 10 to 20 reels and ask yourself, how many pattern interrupts have you actually given to your audience? So what are some key actionables that I want you guys to do to make sure this doesn't happen? Besides, obviously, setting up your calendar. After 2 to 3 high production B-roll videos, I want you guys to throw in an iPhone RAW talking head or a POV black borders or a format that you don't normally do and see how it performs for you. One thing you can actually do is also use trial reels. So if you feel like it's a format that you haven't, been known for or you haven't done consistently, run it on trial reels and see how it does. It doesn't mean it has to be a winner, but it's also a good testing ground. So to be completely transparent, we actually don't use trial reels that much. We have our winning formats that we test consistently on the main account. We use the second GOT consulting account to do a lot of our testing. So if a reel pops off on the second page, then we bring it into the main page, or we break down why it did well on the second page. Because how we look at the GOT consulting page is it's more niche content. It's content that's not as broad. But if a video performs well there, it's a sign for us to double down as well. So having 2 accounts gives us that opportunity. But if you don't have 2 accounts, trial reels is a great place to do so. Then, after 3 value-heavy posts, push something personal. Do it behind the scenes. Do a day in the life. Do an unfiltered moment. Show that you're human as well. This is another great way to have a pattern interrupt. If you've been in the same location for 2 weeks, book a trip, book a studio, get out of the spot that you're normally filming in. Even if you've changed the angle, even if you're, facing the camera differently, it's still going to give off the same vibe as if you're in a completely different location, if you're outdoors, if you're somewhere completely unique. So basically, change it up. So we're completely intentional about how many times we film in Sue's apartment. And if we hired a studio last Thursday because we were like, it's getting a bit repetitive, so we filmed in a different environment. The thing that helps us a lot is, of course, Sue travels a lot. So most of the time we are in a position where we're filming in such different environments. But even if you don't have any travel plans or you don't have anything scheduled, like we mentioned before on previous calls, it's super easy to just go to different spots and film, which I can actually see a lot of you guys are doing now in your content, which is awesome to see. So definitely keep that up. The pattern interrupt doesn't have to be perfect. It's the contrast that makes it effective. So you don't have to invent a new format. You don't have to speak about something that you've never spoken about before, but just make it feel different by changing a few things visually. It can be as simple as changing the aspect ratio or using an iPhone instead of a camera or, other way around. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's simple things that can really help. Also, I want you guys to look at your feed as a viewer, not as the creator. If it looks the same, it feels the same. Now, the easiest way to do this is ask people around you. Ask your family members, ask your friends, ask people that you see on a daily basis. And it's like, yo, what do you think of my content? Like, what do you think about the feed? Like, does it feel repetitive? What is something that you would do and get feedback? Which we always get feedback from you guys, which actually is one of the reasons we actually identified how to split up the content fatigue. So ask people around you and get their perspective, because most of the time your perspective is going to be, somewhat biased. So having different people say, your last few reels felt very similar. It'd be good to see something different. Like, that feedback is going to be extremely, extremely crucial for you guys. And then lastly, the content calendar. It should have variety that's visible. So you guys saw our one. Plan out your content calendar accordingly. Now, we film every single day, or we try to film every single day. obviously the scale that we're doing things at, the team that we have to produce the content enables us to do this. But even if you had 50% of this in your structure, you're going to see that growth, you're going to see that difference. So figure out a schedule that works well for you, that it enables you to hit different A-roll formats, like build content in a way that doesn't feel similar while still building the brand or putting you in a position to build a one-of-one personal brand. And that's by keeping it admirable, relatable, credible, and trustworthy. So that's the main thing I wanted to cover on this call. We'll jump into a Q&A. I would love to hear like what you guys are currently doing, like what your setups are in terms of like your week. What does it look like? Like how are you filming? Are you kind of just going off feeling, or do you have some kind of structure? And we'll take it from there.